What is up, and welcome to another edition of the Bruin Bible. Will Decker here with Jamal Madni from the LA Football Network. We have a guest that we have been circling for a very long time to come on. One of our favorite players for UCLA in recent years. We call him Big Play Quentin, our boy Quentin Lake in the house. What is going on, my man?
I'm doing great. Can't complain at all. I appreciate you guys for getting me on the show for sure.
Man, we appreciate you. We want to hear all about your football journey, what's kind of brought you to be an NFL draft prospect moving forward. But first, we got to go with an ad read from our new sponsor. It's Bet Online. Bet Online is the place to go for all your needs. For the MLB season coming up and the NBA playoffs, make sure to check out Bet Online when moving forward. We're going to have a link in the description for you to check on out with that. So please check out Bet Online, where the game starts. Quentin, we see you now as this polished prospect as a whole, and it's really exciting to kind of see your progression. What got you into football in the first place? I know your dad obviously had an illustrious career at UCLA, played in the pros. Did he push you towards the game, or was it more of yourself kind of looking at it and going, I want to be a part of this?
Yeah, so very early on, very, very early on when I was super young, I was a gymnast. A lot of people don't know that, but I did gymnastics, as a young kid. It's important to have flexibility and all that stuff. And it was fun, flipping on the mat, being on the balance beam, all that stuff. So, but then my dad kind of realized, let's get him into a little bit more quote unquote, manlier sports, you could say. So it became like baseball, football, basketball. And basketball was really my first love. Love basketball. It was awesome. Obviously looking up to players like Kobe, LeBron, all that stuff when I was growing up. It was kind of easy transition to fall in love with the game of basketball. But at the time, it was really between basketball, football, and baseball. All three I was pretty good at. So, I was just kind of playing, whatever sport I could, I was just kind of playing. And then when it got more serious, I want to say around probably maybe 7th grade, I stopped playing baseball because I had a bad daddy ball experience. Kind of what straightened me away from baseball is the coach was kind of putting his son and kind of babysitting his son over something.
Oh, yeah, been there, dude.
I kind of peeped that. Probably not for me. Although I was I was pretty good at baseball. I just I'm not. That's something I didn't want to deal with. So I kind of fell out of love with it. And then moving forward, 7th and 8th grade, it was either between basketball and football. And at modern day, my local high school, I'm from Irvine, grew up there. My local high school is University High School. Super great academically, but their sports are not good.
Yeah. You're trying to go to the Ivy League, that's where you go, right?
Yeah, football, exactly. So. That's it's pretty much, exactly. It's the Ivy League of high schools. So I knew, I was like, you know what, I can't do what I want to do because I was competitive. So for me, it would have been too easy, So I was like, are there any schools? I was like, okay, modern day. I think I went to a camp. So going into modern day, I was thinking I can play basketball and football, right? That's just kind of what my goal was. I wanted to be a 2-sport athlete. And I ended up hurting my knee the 8th grade summer going into my freshman year of high school, and that kind of strayed me away from basketball in general because I got hurt playing basketball. So it kind of scared me. So I was like, well, here's football. I didn't play my freshman year. I was on JV my sophomore year, and I was still kind of recovering from my knee injury, and I wasn't good at all. I can't say I was. I was pretty bad actually. And then obviously once I got recovered from my knee injury, obviously started getting better, more powerful, stronger, all that stuff. So actually, my junior year of high school, and mind you, I'm playing corner all throughout high school. My junior year of high school, I'm a backup. I wasn't even a starter. The guy that was starting in front of me, he ended up pulling his hammy 2 weeks before the season. So they said, okay, well, you're up now. And I was like, okay, cool. Got the chance to start and, never looked back. During that season, I had 8 interceptions and then kind of used that, kind of kept that ball rolling into my senior year. And then obviously started picking up some offers, based off my performance. But in terms of my dad and him putting pressure on me, it was never him. He never put pressure on me. He said, you can play, do whatever you want to. Even if you don't want to play football, you don't have to. Even if you don't want to play basketball, you don't have to. It was never I played football. I was great. You got to play football and you got to be great. No, it was never that situation. It just sort of happened to be that way, you know? So,
yeah, man, you've got a good dad. You know, he never pushed you towards anything.
Yeah.
With modern day, man, I've got to hear about it because I am from California. When I go out of state and I'm talking, you know, football with people that go, oh, modern day, that is the big name high school when it comes to Southern California football.
Yeah.
I was looking at the roster you guys had there and just the amount of recruits. How many D1 players did you guys have on that 2016, 2017 squad?
Yeah, so we had, I'm going to be honest, it was 22 starters. And then
wasn't it like 21?
It might have been like touching 30, but it was definitely 25.
That is the most talent I've ever heard of one high school football. That is ridiculous, dude.
Yeah,
like,
it was crazy.
And that, like, I mean, that just breeds success because, like, in practice, I'm looking at, you know, the guys you're going up against, you know, Amon Ross, St. Brown, Brew McCoy. Both of those guys were 5 stars. You know what I mean? JT Daniels was a 5-star throwing passes over there.
Yeah.
Bro, what would the practices like? Because, like, I got to think it's like, I'm a big comic book guy. You're like the school for X-Men when it comes for football there. Like, it is just all over the place.
Yeah, so looking back, it was really competitive. Like, in the moment, it's competitive, but it's not like looking back, you don't realize, you don't know where, you know, any of the guys are going to go, you know? And obviously, Amon Ross St. Brown, he ended up being, you know, a star rookie in the league now. So, no, looking back, practice was super competitive. Especially my senior year, it was probably like a fight every 2 practices or something like that. Just because, you know, we want to be great. Everybody has that kind of competitive edge. You know, we were seeing, like, for example, like Amon Ra's older brother, Osiris, and one of our star corners, Jalen Cole, who went to Montana State. You know, it's kind of 2 battles of big names at the school at the time. Osiris hurdles them. And you don't really see that in practice. Like, it was a one-on-one drill and he hurdled him. Like, stuff like that was so natural because it happened all the time. You're just seeing, you know, Amon Ra make ridiculous catches. You know, all our safeties, corners, you know, they're pretty big hits all the time. So it definitely got me ready for the experience in college because you're playing at a college level in high school pretty much, you know. Although, like, you're still like, oh, we're high school kids, we're playing at a level and we have so much, like, high competition that the transition from modern day to UCLA wasn't hard for me just because of the competition and the amount of talented guys we had in modern day for sure.
I love it, man. And it, like, you're a basketball guy. It felt like Oak Hill Academy, like, just seeing some of the guys come through there, multiple Heisman winners, you know, coming from modern day. It's fantastic. I got to let my man Madman speak. He's going to ask you about the UCLA experience. He's the alumnus here. He is such a Bruin fan, so he wants to get details on that.
Yeah.
Q, what was it like kind of, you know, in terms of the recruiting process and ultimately what made you pick UCLA? I know it was kind of during the Coach Mora era, and what was that like in terms of the recruiting process and what was kind of maybe year one like for you, you know, stepping on that UCLA campus?
Yeah, so I didn't really know about college, like, offers and stuff like that probably until I finished my junior year of high school. Obviously, so, like, I wasn't one of those kids that were, like, getting offers early on. I wasn't one of those. I had to more say, like, work for it, if you know, if that's how you want to put it into the words. So after my junior year, I went to an Oregon State camp, I went to a USC camp, and I went to the UCLA camp. And, you know, luckily enough, I ended up getting offers from all 3 of those schools after I did the camp. At the time, Coach Clay Helton was the head coach of USC at the time, and then obviously Coach Mora. But I had been around it was like something about UCLA. I had been around the campus. It just felt so natural for me, right? But at the same time, I really loved Coach Helton's coaching staff at the time. It felt, you know, good over there. So interestingly enough, I had the offers and I knew, like, okay, UCLA feels natural, this and that. So I was kind of weighing my options, pros and cons of, you know, all the schools. Obviously, USC alumni, you know, great, especially where I come from. There's a lot of USC people that live in Southern California, especially Orange County. So you kind of weigh the pros and cons. And I had Coach Helton's number and Coach Moore's number side by side. And I was by myself in the family room trying to figure out, like, what's going to be the best decision for me? And obviously I ended up picking UCLA. But for me, what kind of put UCLA over the edge was it felt like home, and then it felt like a good opportunity to play early. I didn't feel like there was a lot of I felt so confident in my abilities, and I didn't feel like the competition was as high where, like, even though I'm a really good player, there are other really good players, and I would have to, like, sit behind them for so long, because I feel like now, like, that happens a lot for some players. But I felt like I would get a fair shot, that's kind of what I felt like. So that kind of put UCLA in that number one spot for me, for sure.
That's awesome. That's great to hear, Q. And you've been an impact guy from day one and never looked back. And now kind of segueing through your career, obviously there was sort of the shift from Coach Mora to Coach Kelly. What was that like? And obviously, switching coaching staffs and what's it been like to be under Coach Kelly? And did you kind of consider during that change, hey, maybe I want to, sort of change universities or what have you. Maybe I want to transfer, and what ultimately kept you in Westwood?
Yeah, for sure. I always knew that, you commit to a school, not a coaching staff. That's the biggest thing. At least if I were to say to young players now is you're not committing to the coaching staff. The coaching staff can get, they can leave the next year, the next week, so you never know. You're more so committing to the school. But yeah, so moving throughout my UCLA career, when I first stepped on campus, so like I said, I played corner in high school. I thought I was getting recruited as a corner going to UCLA. First summer camp, they tell me, hey, you're playing safety. I was like, oh, well, I was like, all right, cool. It doesn't matter. I'm just, it's another opportunity. And it actually helped me a lot because you have the coverage skills as a corner, but the talent receiving wise wasn't as hard. You're guarding tight ends, running backs out the backfield, all that stuff. So it was a little bit easier on the coverage guy. The only thing I had to deal with was communication and putting guys in the right spot. At corner, you don't really have to say a lot, but at safety, you have to get everybody aligned. So that, in terms of football, that was probably the biggest aspect. And then in terms of the coaching staff, Coach Mora's coaching philosophy and the way he coaches is awesome. He's a player's coach. Always kind of put his, best foot forward for the players. You could, it seemed like he was your friend, and then after, he got fired later in the season, my freshman year. Coach Kelly came in, and it was definitely a culture shift. You got two kind of coaches on the opposite ends of the spectrum. One that's, a player's coach, and the other one's that's, had experience in the league. Well, Coach Mora had experience in the league too, but just coming off like experience in the league, and then was really a lot more structured. More about his business than he was really about his business when he came in. But no, I love Coach Kelly. But it was a change for sure. You got guys moving in and out. You have different coaches coming in and out, different staff members coming in and out. So you're just kind of like, you didn't really settle in. No, luckily he got hired in the off season. So you have that time, and it wasn't like at the start, like during like summer or during like summer camp or something. Like it was off season. So we had that, little window to adjust to it. But as soon as I got adjusted to it, my motto was, outwork. It's an opportunity. It's free game. Whenever a new coach comes in, it's free game. It doesn't matter who you are. There's
you gotta earn it.
Looking for the best players to put out on the field. Obviously, they're gonna watch tape and stuff like that, but more so, you have to make a impression off the field than you have to do on the field, especially when you get changes like that. But my motto was, always, I was a yes sir, no sir guy. Very respectful. But really, I just wanted to show these coaches that I'm going to out-hustle and outwork everybody, no matter, my circumstance. So, obviously, that helped me win the starting spot my sophomore year. And then, really, I never looked back. Sophomore year was great, although our record wasn't good. The season was good, personally, for me. And then junior year, we went through some ups and downs. And that was tough for me because I got hurt. Coming off a good sophomore year season, and then junior year, you get hurt the third game. It kind of, I wouldn't say it necessarily derailed my career, but it definitely would have been interesting to see if I did play that whole year. Could I have left my junior year? All those things were possibilities that were kind of going through my mind. Ended up coming back the last game of the season off the wrist injury. And I was like, okay, well, luckily enough, I have another year. My senior year, COVID happens. It's like, damn, I couldn't catch a break. But you know, capitalized on the COVID year, and to be honest, I really thought about leaving that year. I kind of told myself I never really wanted to be a 5th-year senior just because I felt like I didn't need to. Like that was more so I felt like I was ready. But you know, I said, and I kind of looked at like projections and all that stuff. So I was like, you know what, another year won't hurt me. Come back, have probably the best year I had at UCLA this past year.
Oh yeah, man.
Have a great season. It ended up all working out, but that's kind of like my journey throughout UCLA.
Bruh, and we're UCLA fans, man. We're proud of the, development you made on and off the field as a member of the Bruins, bro. I want to kind of transition to the next topic we've got. And, big time players make big time plays. And there was nobody in the secondary as a fan of the Bruins that's covered this team. I'm not just gassing you up because you're on the show. Yeah. I genuinely mean this. I can go back to USC 2020 when you high point picked Keon Slovis near the sideline. I can go back to LSU when you're breaking up passes in the secondary, keeping the momentum going with UCLA. I could break it down when you're the Reese's Senior Bowl Player of the Week against USC, the second time. And by the way, the second pick against USC, as much as I love the first one, you tipped that up in the air and then caught it. Bro, that was a hell of a play. Quentin, you were a reliable presence for UCLA in the secondary, man. Where does that fire for big games come from you, man?
A lot of it has to – it's not like – yeah, and you're right. Big time players make big time plays in big time games, obviously. But a lot of it has to do with preparation, and preparation breeds confidence, like 100%. Even you guys probably going over a script and having your questions ready and all that makes it easier for you to interview people. I would assume it's kind of the same way. So for me, it's just film study. The homework that you have to do in football is so critical, whatever level you're on. Especially in the pros, hopefully, obviously, I'm going to get that opportunity. But, in college, when I was making these plays, it was somewhat due to, my natural ability, but a lot of it had to do with, the preparation that came in during the week. Kind of understanding what teams like, what the opponent offense likes to attack, who they like to get the ball to, what's their favorite formation, what's their favorite play. All that stuff it's important because if you know it and you see it, you're not second guessing yourself out there, right? So a lot of the plays I made, for example, like LSU, when I came out of the middle field and knocked the ball down, that's something I had seen, a concept I had seen on film. Like, okay, number one, single side to the backside to the boundary, he's cut split. This is my play to make. Like I knew, and it was, and you got to think about the situation. It's winding down later in the half, they got to have a big play especially because they want momentum going into the second half. So those are kind of like all those things that you combine, and it allows me at least to play confident. And then when I'm playing confident, I'm just having fun, and obviously it shows, and I'm making plays, left and right. But it's all about preparation. Obviously, sometimes you might see things that aren't on film. Well, so be it. But as long as you're preparing and you thoroughly prepare and you have the confidence when you go out there and you're not second guessing yourself, people are going to make plays, so.
I love it, dude. Preparation is the key to success in life moving forward. I did this with one of your teammates, Alec Anderson, and Madman and I are going to kind of jockey around between. But you have a lot of teammates that are going to be, making that transition to the NFL as well. I want to hear what you have to say about them. The first player I got, and he's one of my favorites on the offense, was a walk-on, Greg Dulcich. Yeah. What do you got to say about the boy, Greg?
Call him a unicorn, man. Like the tight end position is changing right now. You got tight ends running super fast, super athletic, can block, run routes, catch the ball, like all that stuff. So, and I think that's kind of one of the things you've seen over the course of Greg's career, right? You see, like, he comes in as a wide receiver, comes in as a walk-on, got a little chip on his shoulder. Obviously, he has the talent and the receiving ability as a receiver moving from tight end. Then you see his development as like a true tight end. He starts being able to, block better, becomes more aggressive in run schemes, using his, big, long body to wall off defenders and stuff like that. So you kind of see the transition. And then obviously his junior and senior year, he just blew up, had, 2 great years, which, ended up, he wanted to pursue his, NFL dreams. And I think, he's probably, and there's been a lot of tight ends that's came through UCLA, but, he's definitely up there with some of those guys. Like I said, he's a unicorn. He can do it all. He can do it all for sure.
I love it, man. Madman, you got a player for him?
Yeah, well, Q, what about Zach Terminator Charbonnet? What's your take on Charbonnet and him coming back?
Yeah, he could have left easily, so easily. He's special. There are a lot of guys you see that you kind of don't like. You're in practice, you kind of see him here and there, but looking back, like, he's special, man. He is special. And it's not even what he did, like, on the field. Obviously, that speaks for itself. Super strong, fast, all that. But I want to tell a story. So,
please do.
It's summer workouts, or whenever he got there, we were doing conditioning, right? And for most guys, conditioning is hard. Like, it just is. You get tired. Man, Zach is. When I said I've never seen somebody not get tired during condition, like, I'm talking like didn't bend over, no hands on his hip. Like, when you say Terminator, it really reflects that in how he works too. That's the biggest thing is, he just doesn't get tired. He is literally a robot out there. Like, it's crazy. So, yeah, we were running, wind sprints or whatever, and he was killing it. I'm talking about I'm like running this way, and I'm looking like, wow, like, he's in front of everybody, all that, not getting tired. And that just, obviously that transitions to, what he does on the field. Blows up, has 3 touchdowns against Hawaii first game, and you're just sitting there like, for me, it's just like, it makes sense. He's put in the work, super special talent. So, I know personally he's going to have a huge year at UCLA next year, but I'm excited to see how he transitions to the NFL because, as we all know, he's going to get there, obviously. But
Sure.
It'd be interesting to see, how his talents and how his career transitions to the next level for sure.
I love it, man. And I got to bring it back to the Shrine Bowl. You and Kyle Phillips, had a very solid week at the Shrine Bowl. We were keeping tabs on you guys, cheering on our Bruins. What's KP like, man? He seems like the ultimate slot guy. I've always thought he was super underrated. Got a little bit more shine this year, and he really improved his stock there with yourself at the Shrine Bowl, man.
Yeah. And crazy enough, me and Kyle were roommates at the Shrine Bowl. But, when Kyle first – I've known Kyle for a while. I knew Kyle in high school. We played on the same 7-on-7 team. And, he just kind of has that, white boy swag, super – he's like – and I hate comparing Kyle to, like, Cooper Kupp and Hunter Renfrow.
That's what I'm hearing, though. Like, Renfrow was the comparison that I heard. Like, it's
yeah. It's easy to compare him to those guys just because they have very similar games, slot players, obviously, shifty, all that. But Kyle got his own sort of way he runs routes. He'll hesitate you mid route, and he's super savvy with his stuff. I think the biggest thing is he understands how defenses are trying to attack him. So me being able to go against him almost every day was awesome, and definitely helped me throughout the course of my UCLA career. But Kyle's going to be great. He can do it all too. And people don't understand he run blocks too, like really well. I'm talking like really well, more than like, although he's small, he's strong. He can run routes, block. Is smart, got good hands. And you kind of saw him tear it up. Like, I wish people would have showed what he was doing. Like, I wish people showed his practice clips because then people would have been like, it wouldn't have been like so surprising. Because for me, I was like, he's going to tear it up at the Shrine Bowl because I saw it every day. People didn't know until he was mixing everybody on the side at the Shrine Bowl. Taking people's ankles and all that left and right. So. That definitely helped him. Obviously, he had a good combine performance too. Pro Day was good for him too. And like I said about all these guys, I'm excited to see what they're going to do in the NFL. And then my Shrine Bowl experience was awesome too. I think the biggest thing for me is I wanted to show teams, my versatility and how safeties can cover too. That was kind of my motto. Like, I can cover as a safety. I'm not, one of those guys that just sit back and, do that. I can cover. I know my leverages. And especially me playing corner and have so much coverage experience over the course of my career, was kind of natural for me. So
I love it, man. And yeah, we were keeping tabs on you guys. You guys had a very successful week. I think there's a certain quarterback that Madman may want to ask you about that is running the offense for the Bruins.
Yeah, Mr. Dorian Thompson Robinson, what are your, obviously the relationship you've had with him over the last several years, but what are your expectations for him coming back? And, you guys, and you were such a vital part of the team of kind of paving the road. We got to 8-4. This is really feels like the momentum to really build upon and get UCLA football to where we believe it can be. What are your expectations for DTR and for the team kind of moving forward?
Yeah, I got stories on all these guys, but yeah, I mean Dorian was my roommate 2019. Nice. So yeah, me and him go way back. Me and him we're tight. But in terms of what I expect from him, he's gonna break a couple records. That's one of the reasons why he came back is he's gonna break a couple UCLA records. But also, he has a chance to really, I think, for all of us UCLA fans and UCLA alumni alike, we want to see UCLA go to a Pac-12 championship, which is something very feasible this upcoming year, especially Dorian coming back after the year he had and, has all the experience and, has really, fully learned Chip Kelly's offense and has a tool like Zach Charbonnet in the backfield. I feel like, not to say that there's no excuse for UCLA to win the Pac-12 championship, but that should definitely something that they should be striving for. It definitely. I mean, as I was too when I was there, but it's definitely a possibility. It was really a possibility for us last year too, although we had some injuries. But Dorian's going to lead the team. I think we know that. It really just we just got to finish games. That's the biggest thing, and then he has to be. I think for him is just stay healthy. Is the biggest thing. Show up, every game and, have the same performance and be consistent. And, the Pac-12 is, it's UCLA's to take. But he's going to be great. I personally think, just how I said, like Zach, he could have left this year, especially with the quarterback class. He definitely would have opened some eyes in the way he tested. And then especially at some of the workouts, he could have slipped in to be, I think he could have been, I personally think with the quarterbacks I've seen, he could have been a day 1 or day 2 pick. To be honest, because
talent's there, man. Talent's there.
Yeah, the talent's
as talented as you'll see,
Yeah. So, he's another, NFL caliber quarterback in my eyes, but he definitely has another year to really up his draft stock, which I'm excited to see for sure.
I love it, man. And this year, you guys kind of got over the hump. Unfortunately, the bowl game did not happen. But even qualifying for a bowl game, like what did that mean to you and your teammates in the locker room? Because that is hard work and perseverance from where you guys started.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's crazy because some guys just didn't understand, like, oh, bowl game, this is that. But like for the guys who've been at UCLA for like 3 years or longer, it was huge. Like it meant a lot just because of the some of the seasons we had early on. I think it kind of showed that we were finally buying into what Chip had planned for us, which was good to see. We got some new additions through the transfer portal that definitely helped us too. But we were kind of like they called us what, the baby Bruins when we were in like 2018, the baby Bruins, and now we were the full grown Bruins this past year. So we were one of the oldest teams. I don't want to say in the nation, but definitely the Pac-12. But no, it was awesome, man. Although it's unfortunate what happened. Just being able to kind of look back at what we did, years past, and then sit here and say, we kind of earned this. We worked hard. We won games when we needed to, and it was super gratifying. Having that ability to play in late December.
Beating SC. It was very cool, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. And
not just beating, but hanging 62 in the field, absolutely.
That's going to go down in the record books for sure. It has to.
Believe it. Bruins fans have been talking about it all off seasons. We can ensure you on that. You're going to the next step, man. I want to hear about where you're training. What's the hardest part about the training? What's the easiest part? You're making that jump to the NFL, man. This is a dream that is being realized. So, don't you man, applaud for yourself. This is a very special thing you get to do, man.
Yeah, no doubt. And I definitely need to probably take a step back because I've been on grind mode ever since I started training. But so I'm training down here in Irvine, California. I'm at home. I thought about training in other places, but I didn't necessarily you don't need all that stuff. Kind of like what I mentioned before. Like all you need is a gym and some grass. That's it. In terms of that, I'm super old school. I don't need all the fancy facilities and all that stuff. But yeah, just training out here in Irvine. And then in terms of the process, it's wild. It's not hard for me training because I've always been on the hardest part about it is I guess for some guys is you have a lot of this is the time where you have a lot of time on your hands, no one's kind of watching over you. You're really independent, because you're just waiting for draft day. I mean, some guys have workouts and stuff like that, but other than that, you're free to do whatever you want to. But personally, that has never been an issue for me just because I've kind of always been on a certain schedule, wake up, work out, and try to stay on that consistent same schedule throughout the day. So my schedule is I wake up probably maybe 8:30, 9, eat breakfast, go to the gym, hit the field, and then I have the rest of the day off, So as long as I'm staying on a consistent schedule and putting the work in too, I'll be all right. I think the best thing about it is having so much free time, when you're in combine training on a strict schedule, it's every day. It's like grueling almost, but now it's kind of I can do stuff on my own. I have free time, I can go watch a movie. You can really just sit back, relax a little bit, and kind of really enjoy, time with your family or your loved ones or whoever. So, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. It's a crazy process. It's definitely not over. I got some visits and stuff coming up. So the whole NFL process hasn't really left me yet in terms of the build up to the draft. But, it's been awesome. Going to the combine, all that stuff. It's been great. It's been, I wouldn't it's just been awesome. I don't really have a lot to say because it's just you can't really put it into words because, it's some of my dream, but, I don't really know. But, it's here now, and, I'm excited to see, where my future is going to be held in, what is it, 20-some days, April 28th?
20-something days, dude.
3 weeks from today.
3 weeks from today.
3 weeks from today. Time is flying.
Yeah, man. Hey, well, you don't have to disclose this if you're uncomfortable doing it.
Yeah.
You have been meeting with NFL teams. Which ones have you been meeting with?
Yeah, so I just came back from Boston. So obviously the Patriots.
England.
Awesome.
Pretty good coach there,
Yeah, pretty good coach. And then I'm going to the Raiders tomorrow.
Silver and black.
And then the Chargers.
Ooh.
The 15th. So the Raiders and the Chargers, they're local days. Because if you're a local kid, you might as well. They don't top 30 visits. They call them top 30 visits, right? So, you can. It's a strategy move or whatever. You don't want to fly somebody in if they're an hour away. So that it's a way for them to have an official visit, but not have an type of thing. But yeah, so those are some of the teams, and obviously during the pro days and combines and stuff like that. You talk to. I talked to almost every team there. So, you never know where you can get it. You never know when the draft comes around where you're going to land. But, those are probably the teams that at least I've talked to more recently. But like I say, you don't know where you're going.
Well, whoever gets you is going to be incredibly lucky, man. You've been such an awesome guest, dude. We love having you on. We want to do one more kind of fun speed round.
Yes.
Just some quick hitting questions. Sponsored by Bet Online. This is the speed round. Let's go to the first one. Favorite musical artist?
Favorite musical artist would have to be Drake. Easy,
nice. Man. What's your favorite Drake album? I'm a huge fan myself. So
yeah, I was a fan of Oh my God, I'm lost. Was it? It's not. Is it Views? Yeah, it's Views, right?
Views. Yeah, Views and Sticks, man. That's the
I
iconic one. You know.
Yeah.
I'm a Nothing Was the Same type of guy. You know, maybe if you're reading this, it's too late. Those are some that whole era is just classics, right?
Yeah.
I love that stuff. Favorite food?
Oh man, Korean barbecue. I'm about to get some too.
Oh man, barbecue, bro. That is the best.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to a place? It's in Koreatown. It's called Quarters.
I haven't been, but I know there's so many spots in Koreatown in terms of Korean barbecue. But I definitely have to check that out. It's good,
dude. They add this cheese sauce that blows your mind, to the Korean barbecue. So, man, if you're hungry, you know, in the near future and you're around K-Town, definitely check out Quarters. Sure. Favorite vacation spot, Quentin?
Man, I haven't been on vacation in a while, but if I had to choose, it would be. Like in terms of vacation, I like tropical stuff. So I would go to Jamaica.
Nice.
We
actually interviewed a linebacker earlier today, and he had the same. It's a Baylor linebacker named Terrell Bernard for our draft show. He said Jamaica as well. So, man, like-minded people. You know, you and Terrell are, man. Favorite player to model your game after?
The easy answer is my dad, but I don't want to say that. I'm gonna go with Justin Simmons.
Ooh,
same type of body type. You know, same position, all that stuff. So, and then, you know, he has good football IQ, student of the game, and is a good man off the field. So, it's kind of easy to model my game off him.
Simmons is a good dude. We're actually going to be working with him this summer. We're doing a 7-on-7 camp that we're sponsoring. He's going to be there. Caleb Wilson's going to be there. The invitation's on the table, man, if you want to come through. So we'll just slide that out there. Last one I got for you, bro. Favorite UCLA memory?
Favorite UCLA memory? Man, you can't beat LSU.
Oh,
yeah.
That was big, dude. That was huge.
Yeah, it was big. SC was. I just gotta go with LSU just because of I feel like there was a lot of hype around that game. SEC coming into the Rose Bowl, you know. Coach O talking about Sissy Blue, all that stuff. So there was a lot of hype around that game, and then for some reason, I just felt like, you know, we were being disrespected a little bit. And then just to be able to show that, you know, we can play against SEC talent was awesome. It was dope. So, yeah, I'm gonna remember that one forever for sure.
Man, you beat a team that had just won a national championship 2 years prior. I mean, that's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Quentin Lake, man, thank you so much for coming on the Bruin Bible. You were on the short list of guests we wanted, man. And we can't tell you how much fun this was.
Man, thank you so much, Quentin. This was amazing.
This was awesome. I appreciate you guys for having me on.